All right, we're going to talk about this now. Celeste Beard is behind bars after being convicted of orchestrating the murder of her husband in 1999. This case rocked Austin with twists and turns about money, relationships, and a murder for hire plot. You likely heard about this at some point. The Criminally Obsessed team recently produced a documentary on the case titled Celeste, Trophy Wife or Framed for Life. So we have Emerson with us to give us the details of the case and what was learned from this documentary. Good morning, Ann. How are you doing?
It's great. How are you doing, Lincoln?
I am great, thank you. So I have certainly heard of the name Celeste Beard. I think a lot of people have. Revisit this for us. What is the background here?
It's got all the twists and turns, like you said. I mean, Celeste Beard was this beautiful young woman who fell into this relationship with a media mogul and Steve Beard, and he was actually running one of our sister stations. He owned it, and that's how a journalist started kind of looking back into this case. But the basis is that, Celeste has maintained her innocence all of these years and says that she wasn't involved in his murder, but what happened was that he was shot in the middle of the night. You hear the 911 call when he calls, and he's like, my guts have just jumped out of my stomach. He was literally asleep when he was shot. Now, what the prosecutor said and won their conviction was that Tracy Tarleton was the lover of Celeste and was the one that pulled the trigger, but she wasn't the one that came up with the plan. But Celeste has always said that she was innocent. But this case is amazing. It was a trial of the century back at the when it went to trial in 2003, and 1999 is actually when the murder occurred.
Well, what does your documentary discover, and about what happened, and who did you speak with, rather?
Well, this is incredible. Our documentary unit's run by Liz Elkington, and she went into the prison and had an opportunity to speak with Celeste, hear her side of the story. She still says she wasn't involved in anything, even though there is an enormous, overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that she was, including the fact that her friend or lover, Tracy Tarleton, had taken the stand during her during her trial to say, yes, we were involved in a relationship, and Celeste and I, this all came together under her guise. But we get to also hear from Celeste, one of her twin daughters, Jen, who is a remarkable woman. And another thing that happens in this documentary is that, you get a chance to actually see the house where all of this took place, the mansion where Celeste and Steve were living, and you're able to actually see what happens when Jen has to face those demons. And there was also, we have exclusive coverage with Walt Makaborsky, who is the anchor at KI CBS Austin still, and he has been able to really put a lens on this so that we can understand all the twists and turns. And finally, you hear from Tracy, the woman who did spend time behind bars for shooting Steve, but what her motivation was and what she thinks is going on with Celeste now.
What makes this polarizing to this day?
I think it's that question. Was she, as she was certainly a trophy wife. She spent money like water. She was spending thousands of dollars. There's horrible recordings of the way she would speak to her kids. She was really a mess. And so there was all of that. But is she the mastermind behind this murder? Or did Tracy do it and this wasn't some kind of major, murder for hire plot? So I think that, what's polarizing is that for all of these years in Austin, they've had this question of, should Celeste have been held responsible for this? And to hear it from her daughter, her ex-lover, herself, I think you get a really good opportunity to just dig into this case because it is absolutely amazing.
Now, Celeste, she says her kids set her up, right?
Well, the kids, yes, she does. And she, the twins had a very hard upbringing. and were brought in under Steve's wing when he married Celeste. And, you know, when you hear it from Jen and you know, earlier on in archival tape from her sister, you know that they had a very special bond with Steve. So when he eventually died of this shock to the stomach in the middle of the night, you can hear the pain from them. But yeah, I think that what they set up in that courtroom was a secret recording, basically, of the abuse that they were going on with their mom and how severe it really was. I don't know without that recording that they had whether or not she would have been convicted like she was. You know, it was very powerful to hear how she was speaking to them. And she even says in the recording some things that really kind of put her in a box as far as her involvement.
Okay, and where can people find the documentary?
It's on Criminally Obsessed on YouTube. You've got to watch it. It is so good. Liz and her team spent a lot of time down in Austin working on this. It is beautifully put together. It has, and to have that lens of actually being able to go into the prison and speak to Celeste now, you're going to have a lot to unpack.
Okay, Ann Emerson, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us the sneak peek here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, just a reminder here, Ann is the investigative reporter for Criminally Obsessed, our new true crime team. If you're one of those people who listens to true crime all the time, you're going to want to check out her daily show on YouTube. She has the fascinating deep dives on the stories everybody is talking about. Click on the QR code right there on the screen, and you will find Ann's interviews. You can also listen to the Criminally Obsessed podcast on Apple and Spotify.